back in the heyday of garage kit production, with all the talented people that were there producing stuff, there was one name which was almost revered, and that was Jeff Yagher. And I worshipped him from afar because I used to buy Amazing Fantasy Modeler, and people would be building up his models. And there was one called the Man of 1,000 Faces, a Lon Chaney Senior tribute kit, which I was just in awe of. And I never ever thought I would ever own a Jeff Yagher piece, but I have, because I follow Jeff on Facebook, and he produces, or has produced for him, a number of kits. And I'm a massive Hammer fan. That's why I do a Hammer podcast. And he's recently produced two. He sculpted two, and they've been moulded and cast by a great guy by the name of Paul. Thanks, Paul, for this. Paul has just sent me this. He sent me photos of the tracking slip 5 days ago. It's taken only 5 days to get from the States to here. So very pleased to get it. This is an unboxing, and you'll see in a sec. Well, you'll know what this is. You will have already seen from the photo on the start of this. This is going to have to be a very quick one because I've got to pop out in a minute. So this might not be the most exhaustive of unboxings, and I think I might have to come back. But let's have a look. Yeah, I'm going to have to come back because I've got a figure in here, a kit in here, and I've got accessories for the figure, which you will have seen. I don't know why. Sorry, I'm waffling away. That is the main part of the body. Yeah. All right. Scrap this. This is the most pathetic of unboxings, but you can see things have come wrapped up in bubble wrap. And preview of coming attractions. Okay, so it's the next day and I've got much more time, so let's take my time. All right, so this is the first kit that I bought, and I had to have it because number one, it's a Hammer subject. Number two, it's Leon from Curse of the Werewolf, which we've just featured on our Hammer Horrors podcast. He's our latest subject. And three, it seems to be the start of a new line that Jeff Yagher is going to be doing of Hammer subjects, Hammer figures, crucially in 1/8 scale. And you might have just seen I've done the X Plus Mummy and Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I like doing them in 1/8 because that's the scale of the old Aurora kits. And just like I did with the X Plus Mummy, it was interesting to do that and then compare and contrast with my original Aurora Mummy. And I'm going to do the same here with Curse of the Werewolf. So let's have a look at the parts. All I've done is taken them out of the bubble wrap, and it's looking pretty darn good. That's not a seam line, that's part of the trousers. It's the seams of the trousers. So all very good. I can see there's a couple of little blobs just there to come off, but lovely sculpting on the fur there. There's something there that I got to address. All right, so that's his body. Yeah, a little bit of flashing there between the fingers. I'm not sure if this is bare resin or if Paul has primed it. It looks like it's been washed too. I'll give everything a good old wash. Always do that whether it needs it or not with resin kits. So there we go. And then that's interesting. The base is a different colour to the top. So I think these might have been primed. I could ask Paul, but I'm going to just crack on, and I'll give everything a wash anyway. All right. And then, of course, the main part, the centre piece, the focal point on any figure kit is the face. And there's our Oliver. Look at that. Cracking. So, and I did a test fit, and the arms fit fine. There's a little gap between the head and the, I can't really show it to you one-handed, the head and the neck, which I'll have to fill, but no big deal. Oh yeah, and the other bit on the base is this. All right, so that fits on there like so. And then Leon is going to stand on there like so. But there's an optional extra that you can get, which is to have a nameplate. And of course, you've got to have a nameplate, just like the Aurora kits. So that will be going on the front there. And there's also a skull and a little rat. So I had to have them. So that's the first one, and that's all I was going to purchase. But then on the Facebook page, it was announced that to help out Jeff, because Jeff was caught up in those horrible Los Angeles fires, to bring forward the release of this Jacqueline Pierce as the reptile, bring it forward to help Jeff out. So yeah, had to step in, didn't I? And it's resulted in this. Excuse me, much larger. I think this 1/4 scale. I'm not really a fan of busts, so to speak, because I'm rubbish at skin tones, etc., etc. But this isn't a regular skin tone, and they're not regular eyes. So I'm gonna have a go. So what you got is, again, a beautiful casting, lovely and smooth. There's a big peg in the bottom because she sits on this lava base. We've featured the reptile on our show, and we were saying about you don't get lava in Cornwall, but yeah, she sits in there like so. And then we have no left arm, but we do have a right hand, and as you can see, lovely detail, lovely sculpting, lovely casting. There's just a couple of little blobs that I've got to remove, but this is all a big preamble to the start, and I'm starting first with Leon. I'm not going to do both together. I'm putting Jacqueline away now, so I can focus properly on Leon. All right, so there will be a future video with her, but right now it's get Oliver, take Oliver up to the bathroom, give him a nice warm soapy bath, after I've pinged off any little bits that need doing. Oh, I also think I'll need to do, before I give him the bath, he's going to need pinning to this base. And what I always do is, when I've worked out where exactly I want him to stand, it's not the most scientific of ways of doing it, but what I do is I drill a couple of holes in the base of his feet for pinning, and then what I do is I fill those holes with a little bit of blue tack, and then what I'll then do is, before putting the blue tack on, I'll just draw where I want his feet to go, like so. Drill 2 holes, fill them with blue tack just so they're sticking out a little bit, then put a blob of paint on each bit of blue tack, and then line him up to where I've drawn around his feet, press down, lift off, And if it all works properly, I'll have 2 little blobs of paint, and that will be the places to drill the corresponding holes for the pins. So that's what I've got to do first. Drill some holes, and then everything will have a nice warm soapy bath, and I will come back maybe with things starting to be assembled. Forgot to say also in the box was this nice little flyer, just showing off some of Jeff's skills. All right, so I've been having a play around, and this is where I am this morning. So that's everything's been washed, any little bit of flashing has been removed, and here I've done what I've said, and I've drilled the holes for the pins to go into Leon's feet, and I've just put a blob of blue tack in each. Don't really need to, it's just, you know, I don't want a lot of paint going down in there. All right, so I think this grey primer is going to do for the base coat. That'll work fine. Oh, by the way, it wasn't until I was scrubbing that I realised this is actually a piece of plasticard. A thin veneer of plasticard has been put on the base, I guess just to even it out. It's been signed by Paul there, the caster of the kit. All right, so that's good to go. I can start putting colours on that, so that's good. That was nice and quick. The skull is again ready for paint. The most, oh, just do that as well. That's the nameplate. Oh yeah, the nameplate. I've seen Paul's paint up of the kit. I mean, this is what you get if you just buy the kit as a kit. It doesn't come with a nameplate, and then you've got this extra. And when I drilled the holes, I placed Leon in front of the bars. I placed him with the intention of having the plaque up here, but Paul's actually got it down in there like so, and I'm in an RR what to do about that. Do I have it down there, in which case really Leon is a bit too close to the bars and I need to drill new holes, or do I have it up on the top? I don't know. Either way, it's not a big deal. All right, so no, I was just about to say the most flashing and the most work that had to be done was actually just trimming the little rat off of his little base of resin, just trimming him out. Trying hard not to snap his tail, but I've done it, so he's ready for paint as well. Yeah, and then on to the actual subject. Here he is all done. You can see there between the neck and the chest, I've just had to put a little bit of green stuff and just tuck that in the join there. But we are ready to go with priming. What I've done is I've primed his lower half. I found it easier to actually take him outside, hold him by his upper half, spray the lower half, and in a minute I'm going to go out and do the same for the top half. And then when that's dry, the top half is going to have a coat of white primer because he has a white cream top. Don't need to do it at the bottom because everything's going to be black. So I'll come back with paint on those bits over there, and maybe a white and grey Leon. Okay, so moving away from the greys, I've got a base coat, quite a dark base coat on that skull. And Roland's got a base coat. I'm going to be using Citadel contrast paints on him, so I'm going to do a contrast paint on his ears and his tail before putting a contrast paint brown on. This hasn't come out as well as I would have liked. Basically what you got here, again, contrast paints. This is Black Legion and Rattling Grime, which is a dark brown, and I did a very sloppy wet wash to get into all the detail. And what I wanted was a black brown wash, and it kind of is visible up here, but down here not much. So I'm going to put more just neat rattling grime on there, because I don't want this being too grey, because, you know, his boots and trousers are going to be black. Everything's going to be a bit too monochrome down there. So I want a bit of colour interest in there. And talking about the fella, looking at colours for him, he seems to have quite an orangey skin tone. So I've put this on. This is a mix of, again, Games Workshop's Flayed One Flesh and Cadmium Flesh, which is a very orange flesh. I thought it would come out more orange than this, but it hasn't. So I'm unsure what to do next. I'm either going to put a wash of the cadmium flesh over it to make it more orange, or highlight with just Flayed One Flesh first to lighten him up, and then go back over with a wash. But I'll think about it, and I will return. Okay, so this is a watered down coat of Reichland Flesh Tone, and I'm going to leave it at that. It has darkened the skin. I don't want it to darken it too much though, because he's got quite extreme makeup, especially around the eye area, and that strange grey that's going to be on his brows. So I'm going to leave it at that and start concentrating on the eye area and the mouth area, and start on that. And Ratus is done. There are some coloured stills on the internet that I could use for reference for the makeup on the face, but I much prefer an actual physical copy. But decent photos are quite rare. I mean, this is Roy Ashton's book, which is an excellent book, as it covers, as you can see, his work on Curse of the Werewolf quite extensively. But maddeningly, the photos are all black and white. We've got a photo here on the cover, and this publication is really good, but the photos have been kind of like tinted. That's not a bad one. You can see his eye makeup is very, very dark, but all the other stills are either black and white, or again, there's an odd tinting to them. Okay, and the problem I've got is I want to kind of like try and be accurate with all the eye makeup. Again, that's not exactly genuine there. So what I'm using is this shot, which has very, very dark, almost brown makeup all around the eye and the side of the nose, and that one there. All right, and looking at these, and also a couple I've seen on the internet, he's got very, you can't really see it there, you can kind of see it there, and it's definitely in some shots that I've seen on the internet. He's got quite red eyelids underneath the dark makeup, and so for that reason I've here washed all the eyelids with a thinned down Blood for the Blood God to redden them. They look very garish right now, but hopefully they won't when I've put the whatever colour I'm going to put over the top. Okay, this is the point where I start to worry. What I want to do is emulate the very, very dark eye makeup all around the eyes, eyelids, under the eyelids, and up and onto the nose. That bit there is actually hair, but the eye makeup seems to go up and cover the hair that is there. So that's what I want to try and emulate. So that is what I am doing. But right now, I'm wondering if I'm doing the right thing. And I think it's a combination of, I've got no other colours around it. so it's standing out an awful lot. And number two, I haven't blocked in the eyes because, of course, that once I put the eyes in, that breaks all this dark area up. I've blocked in the grey, the very lightest grey, all the way around his face. And what I'm going to do is put on a wash to darken that down a bit. And I'm hoping that once I get darker colours around it, it's not going to be too jarring. All right, I might have to feather it out a bit more. I don't know. I'll see how it looks once I've, as I say, I've darkened the hair down. All right, I'm relaxing a bit more now, just by putting the whites of his eyes in has broken that redness up and is looking better. It's not white, it's Vallejo ivory. And again, I am now umming and ahhing, do I wash them and redden them a bit? But I'm thinking that's going to be a bit too much. I think I'll put the pupil colour in first and then see what it looks like. Okay, so the pupils I did a dark blue, then picked out in a much lighter blue. Just got to finish them off. A dot of black for the iris and gloss varnish, and hopefully that will be done. You can't really tell, but I've used two greys for his body, and if I can find them, I'll tell you what they are. There's the light grey is Othuan grey, and there's darker bands like here. You can see it's here, and it seems to be all around his neck and then moving up towards the face, and that's grey cere. All right, so I think the next step, as I say, just finish off the eyes, gloss them, and then I'm going to try a very watery wash of Nuln Oil to just get a bit of darkness in there and bring those two greys together. It is funny how you can and ah about whether you're doing the right thing with the eyes, and then once you put a coat of gloss varnish on, everything works. So very pleased with that. We're pretty much done with the face. All I've got to decide now is what to do with his mouth, blooded or not. All right, pretty much done there with the fur. What I've done to represent that strange rippling in the yak hair that Roy Ashton did on his torso is I've just suggested the ripples with bands of Nuln Oil. All right, and I'm using very thin down Nuln Oil at the moment. I'm putting that in the recesses of his white tunic, and then I've got to dry brush them. And then once I've decided what I'm going to do with the mouth and finish the tunic off, it's a case of masking along the bottom of his waistband, spray his lower half black, paint the waistband red, and Leon is pretty much done. Over here with the base, everything's done, all bar the bars. All bar the bars. I've picked them out in metal, but I'm going to put some rusty washes on them, and I've put some of that rattling grime in, as you can see, to break up the grey and black, but I'm going to have some moisture here. I think I'm going to have some running taps or something have been happening, or he's wet himself or something. And I've decided, I think, yeah, the name tag is going to go along the bottom there like that. Okay, so I masked off all the top area and I've sprayed his bottom area in, it's meant to be matte black, but it's got a nice satin sheen to it. I was thinking about masking everything off to here and spray his boots gloss black, but I think I'm just going to brush paint a black over them just to break the difference, break it up and make a bit of a difference in the blacks. Just got to remove the remainder of the masking tape, paint his waistband, and then I'm going to have fun. I am going to put the blood on, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So I'm going to go for the blooded version and studying all the stills. His mouth is full of blood. You can barely see any of the tooth colour there. And he has 3 drips going down, with the drips at the side of the mouth seeming to be thicker than the one in the middle. So what I'm going to do is here, this is some Tamiya clear red, and what I'm doing is I'm just watering it down like so to get a thin, much thinner one, because Tamiya clear red is quite a thick red, but I want to thin it all down to get that, and then I'm going to dab it on into the mouth area and just build it up until I'm happy with it, and then move on from that. So let's stick some blood on. Okay, that's it on, and I've just dabbed it off the top of the teeth there. All right, so now I'm going to go in and do the proper lines. So I very, very gradually started putting them in, and now I've got them roughly where I want them to be. I can start building up the thickness of them, and doing his bottom lip very red. And I've noticed in some of the stills he's actually got blood on his chest, so I've got to put that on before I can move on. I'm really not sure about this. I've been accurate to the stills, and I've put the 3 trails of blood, with the one in the middle being thinner than the other 2, and it looks a bit daft. But then again, if you look at the stills, they look a bit daft. So I'm being accurate to the film, but it's not working for me. And the problem is you can't remove this stuff. I'm thinking maybe the way to go is add a bit more red on the lower lip and a bit more in that center one. I think what's throwing it for me is that line is too straight going down. I might add a little bit more to that. I'm going to and ah and then decide, and I'll come back with it done, because I've just got to put a bit of washes on the red band with the waistband, and we're finished. Okay, I'm all done, and I'm feeling a lot better about the blood now. I did put more on his bottom lip and on the underside of his bottom lip, and that middle streak I've widened out so it wasn't so thin, and I've put more on his chest there. All right, so that is Leon done. I never thought, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that I would ever own a Jeff Yagher kit, and here I am with one. Now I've got another one on the go and another one lined up. So yeah, very happy bunny. Thanks to Jeff for still producing them. Thanks to Paul Gill for moulding and casting them and getting them out there into the world. Yeah, thanks, Paul. Top bloke. Before I go, I'll just pan down and show you the base. And I just thought I would show you the, as I said right at the beginning, the skull and the rat and the name plaque are optional extras, okay? And I decided to have them, just move Leon out the way a bit. I decided to have them, and I've placed them where they are, because let me bring in my old Aurora one. Yeah, apologies for the paint job here. This was a kit I did many years ago, and as you can see from that skull, I didn't have much in the way of weathering materials for a skull other than black paint. So I think it's a really nice touch that the accessory kit you can get replicates the Aurora kit. So because of that, I thought I would replicate the positioning of them. So that's why they are where they are. Let's pan on up. And again, I compare and contrast, just like I did with the X Plus mummy kit, compared to the old Aurora one. That's the difference of 50 odd or 50 or more years advancement in sculpting and moulding. So there we go. So pleased to have a hammer kit up on my shelf, and I've got another one that I'm underway with, which will be along within, well, I would say a week. So stay tuned for that.